Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel and thank you for clicking on today's video. So today actually marks 1 week that I've owned the Canon EOS R5, and I kind of just want to address a question that I've received quite a bit. After I dropped my last video, if you guys haven't checked that out yet, I kind of just use the R5 throughout a day, test out the different modes and everything like that, and then just kind of like talk about some of my overall thoughts on the camera so far. But after I made that video, I definitely have received a lot of questions about if I'm planning on keeping the R5, am I switching over to Sony, what is my plan moving forward? And I gotta be totally honest with you guys, right now, I don't fully know what I'm planning on doing. And I just wanna be kind of transparent with that. I try to have everything on my channel very polished, very planned out, but I'm kind of torn. I don't know what I'm fully gonna do about the R5. Now, over the last couple of days, a couple creators like Gerald Undone, Maddie Hipoya, and a few others have put out their reviews on the R5. They've also put out reviews on the Sony A7S III and everything like that. And those are two creators that I really respect. They obviously know what they're talking about. They make amazing work, everything like that. And I think what they were saying about the R5 is a perfect way to sum it up. The R5 is kind of this hybrid all-in-one camera, but it definitely is photo first rather than video. And that's why it has the higher megapixels. It can shoot 20 frames per second for photos, all this stuff. Like it's actually incredible at photo, and then it's just also pretty damn good at video as well. But the problem is when you try to combine all those things into one camera, that's when you start running into some limitations like the overheating, which kind of is weird to me why people are comparing the R5 to the Sony A7S III so much, because they're two very different cameras. Like, yes, some specs are similar and they shoot some things in the similar frame rates and everything like that, but the Sony A7S III is definitely just a video camera, and that's kind of how Sony has built their whole system. So they have 3 different camera lines, if you aren't familiar. They have the Sony A7R line, which is the higher megapixel photo first cameras. Then they can also shoot some videos pretty good. And then they have the Sony A7S line, which is obviously the hot topic right now. And that is their video first, without a doubt. It's lower megapixels, which means it's better in low light for video. And it is the video first camera line. And then they have the hybrid kind of in between, which is the Sony A7 line. So that one kind of tries to mix the best of both worlds. Usually not the highest megapixels as the R line, usually not as good as video as the S line, but it's kind of the in-between camera. What Canon's doing right now is they have the R5, which is definitely just like the craziest specs of everything, but just mixed into one camera. And then they have the R6, which is kind of just like the baby brother of the R5. So it's not like the R6 is more geared towards something than the R5. It's just more kind of like a top tier and then like a middle tier after that. And then I guess the R would be like the tier below that if you wanted to. Now, what really enticed me about the R5 to begin with, before, you know, all this overheating and wobble and all this stuff started coming out, is I love the idea of having one camera body that can do it all for me. Because if I do go on a work trip or extend my trip or go somewhere for a weekend, I love the idea of just being able to have one camera body that can take some high megapixel photos, whether it be shooting some stuff for clients, personal work, portraits, products, and then also being able to make my own personal content for video as well, and just be able to do all that stuff in one camera. Sounds awesome to me. Which kind of brings me to what I actually use my camera for, okay? Because I don't use my camera for any like my day job work or anything like that. We have our own cameras, which we use everything from Sonys to Canons to Aris to Reds. So I'm definitely not like a brand loyalist and like won't ever touch any other brand of camera. I think that's kind of ridiculous. And actually, if you didn't know, obviously I've been using the EOS R for the last like year now on this channel, but this channel actually started on the Sony A7R III. And that's the camera that I had before the R. And I made that switch to the R because it fit my workflow more for my YouTube content. It just worked better for vlogging, the type of content I wanted, and I was really happy with that switch. And that's what I use my camera a lot for my personal content these days. I either make YouTube content, obviously you guys know, but also, you know, I'm getting more into taking some photography for different brands and everything like that. But I don't do a lot of like client or freelance video work, honestly. I kind of have my day job where I do my video stuff that's not using my own gear, and then mostly for video I do my own YouTube content. So I'm not shooting like weddings or freelance or like small business client work or anything like that. But if that is what I was doing, without a doubt I would not have a camera like the R5 that has any chance of overheating or being limited, or me having to stop and tell the client, hey, sorry, I have to wait for my camera to cool down for 45 minutes or things like that. Obviously, if you're shooting like a wedding or something, that's a joke. You wouldn't even be capable of doing that or even think to do that. As I said, over the past 6 months, months, 8 months since I did the EOS R review is, you know, I wanted a camera that was gonna be 4K everything from 24 frames per second all the way to allow 120 frames per second. And if that was in 4K, fantastic. Wanted it to have IBIS. I wanted it to have higher megapixels for photos and everything like that. So right now my thoughts on the R5 is, you know, I think I could totally get by using it for my YouTube content. And I think it's great for all my photo content, everything I need. And that's kind of what I was explaining to a friend the other night is I think the R5 is really good. I think it's amazing at a lot of things. And I think I could make it work with my workflow for YouTube and my video content and everything like that. But then that sentence right there kind of made me start thinking about it once I said it out loud is I'm having a camera that can get me by with what I need to do for video. And that's just kind of like a bad way to think about it. You know what I mean? Cause like, why would I have a camera that I can just get by with using it and knowing I have these limitations? Or I could get a camera that does the best at what I need it to do. So as far as if I kept the R5 for my current workflow, my current content, everything like that, I would probably have 2 camera bodies. So I'd probably have the R5 and then I would probably keep either the RP or the R, maybe the R. But I think that would be kind of the best build because, you know, I do like to have 2 camera bodies if I am shooting 2 angles or a top down, whatever. And theoretically, let's talk about what my Sony build would be real quick. I'd probably have the Sony A7S III because it's video centric, and then I can just have a dedicated camera for my YouTube videos. And then I'd probably have a second body, so I would have that second camera angle if I needed to. And I would pick one that had a little bit higher megapixels, so maybe it'd be the A7 III or like the Sony A7R4, whatever. That way I would have 2 camera bodies, but I would kind of lose that hybrid all-in-one camera. So honestly, either route isn't perfect. They both have some limitations. Now, whenever they come out with the Sony A7 IV, that camera will probably be amazing and maybe like just a beast of a hybrid. You know, I'm just being honest here. This is just a real talk because, you know, obviously a lot of my following and things like that, I put out content about my cameras that I owned, which are the Canon cameras. So I would hate to like offend anybody if I did switch. And I honestly don't know if I'm gonna switch, but I think at the end of the day, whether it be me or you, if you are trying to figure out what camera to upgrade to, or are you going to jump ship every time a new camera comes out or anything like that, you need to figure out what you actually are going to use your camera for, what you intend to use it for, what helps your workflow, and then obviously you have to figure out how much you already invested into that camera company and everything like that. You know, if you had 15 Sony lenses, you're probably not gonna switch over to Canon, and vice versa. It just doesn't really make sense. You know, this channel is more than just, hey, this is the camera I use and everybody else that uses a different camera sucks. Every camera out there these days is really good. It's just kind of weird. I'm kind of in this point now where I don't know exactly what I'm gonna do because I don't think the R5 is perfect for me, but I don't think the Sony A7S III is perfect for me either. I think either one of them has some drawbacks. I think they're both amazing cameras. It's just more about what do I want to do, I guess. So that's just kind of where I'm at right now. I figured I'd kind of just put this video together because I've just been getting a ton of questions about, hey, should I buy the R5? Is it worth the money? Should I buy this? Do you think I should actually buy the Sony A7S III? Should I upgrade to that? And it's just, everyone's situation's different. Your budgets are different. What you want out of a camera is different. Part of me thinks it'd be really nice to have a camera I'd never have to worry about the overheating for videos and everything like that. I don't have a 30-minute record limit whenever I'm doing these YouTube videos or whatever. The IBIS wobble thing isn't there. But on the other side of things, it sounds great to have like an all-in-one Canon camera, which I really like the menu system. I love how the camera works. I love the lenses. I like the photography side of this camera for any of my photo needs and everything like that. And this could get me by if I was going on a trip or whatever and I could just have one camera body. But maybe you would even want a second camera body to come with you anyways, because if it overheated, you're just like stuck there waiting. So I don't know. I'm kind of waiting to see what Canon does as far as like a firmware update and everything like that. Or, you know, are these rumored total hardware like recall, is that actually going to happen? I'm kind of just torn, and I would love to hear you guys' feedback, what you think I should do, what maybe you're planning on doing in the comments below. And this is not a brand war here, okay? So I'm not trying to see that in the comments. If you think that Sony cameras suck, you're crazy. If you think Canon cameras suck, you're crazy. Both are really good. You might just be able to find a camera that fits your exact needs a little bit better than a different one. But guys, that's gonna be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed kind of just hearing my overall thoughts on my experience with the R5 so far, what my future plans are going to be. And I think it's important to remember that cameras are just a tool that help you to create. If you handed any of your favorite YouTubers or creators or anything, you know, Peter McKinnon, Casey Neistat, Daniel Schiffer, any of these people, obviously if they weren't with a current brand, but if you handed them any type of camera, they would probably make some awesome content that you would enjoy watching, because without a doubt, storytelling and all these other factors that go into creating is way more important than just what the logo is on the camera that you're using. So going to definitely be doing some more testing, and I'll have a full review on this camera coming out pretty soon, but I think that's gonna be it for today's video, guys. If you did enjoy it, drop it a thumbs up. That really helps the channel out. If you're new around here, consider hitting that sub button. I'd really appreciate it. I try to make content, try to help other creators create better looking content. That is a mouthful. My name is Johnny. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.